Hello everybody. Little technical difficulties with my camera. Welcome. We are live. Chef Katie May here. We are making a summer shepherd's pie today. So glad you're joining us. It's going to be delicious, but light at the same time because we're using seasonal vegetables. We're going to do zucchini, bell pepper, corn, really, really tasty. So I was recording a video last night for the McDougall program, their online program. It's going to be super, super exciting. So it went really well, but the cameras I was using my two cameras last night working perfectly, and then I wake up this morning and one of them isn't wanting to connect. So my board, you're not going to be we won't be using that camera, but I'll still show you my board. We'll just go at a different angle. So thanks for your patience. Let's get started. Let me know if you can hear me okay. It sounds like we already have comments coming in and it's all working well. So just let me know where you're joining us from. That would be awesome. The recipe was in the email this morning, so you got that. The link below, if you haven't gotten our email this morning, if you're not on my email list, then join the email list by opting in at the link below, and we will send you the recipe. So just checking on something. The recipes I do, if you're just joining for the first time, you're not familiar with my work, they're 100% whole food plant-based, so no added sugar, oil, or salt either. Those are all highly processed items. A little bit of salt you can add on top of your dish afterwards if you'd like to, but I teach people how to cook without the salt because we just get way too much in our food supply. And even when you're cooking at home, often the recipes say to add salt basically at every step. And so even home cooking can be really high in salt unless you're doing it being intentional about not adding the salt. And so that's what I'm here to teach you, how to make it super flavorful where you don't need that salt added. But there's no lack of flavor here because I am teaching you how to make it really full flavor with the sweetness, the saltiness, and natural saltiness, umami, bitter, and sour. We're going to add in all of these flavors so that you get a really full flavored dish and you don't miss the added processed ingredients. If you are joining us from TrueNorth, let me know if you are fasting, if you're refeeding, how is it going? If you have any questions for me, if you guys aren't familiar with TrueNorth, TrueNorth Health Center is a medically supervised water fasting center in Santa Rosa, California, where I used to live, but now I'm up in Washington, and so teaching from a distance. But the program we do at TrueNorth, in addition to the amazing water fasting, the lifestyle that we're teaching is a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And that is what allows us to heal our bodies while people are there to be fasting and then eating that food. You can heal your bodies, but there's no point in doing that if when you go home, you're just going to continue the same lifestyle. So it's my job to teach you how to make that food super flavorful so that you can continue when you get home. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to make the summertime shepherd's pie, and it's going to be really great. So stick around. We'll get started. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because I go live every Thursday. And as of last week, we're doing these live videos every Wednesday as well. So me in the kitchen, and sometimes we have a guest chef. We have a couple of guest chefs with us tomorrow night at 5 p.m. So be sure to subscribe so you get all of the notifications on YouTube letting you know that we're live. And if you like this, give us a like as well. So first off, we are making, like I said, the shepherd's pie. Let me show you the recipe here. We've got our veggies are going to go into the bottom layer. We've got carrot and onion, garlic, seasonings, and some beans, some cannellini beans, and then we're going to put potatoes on the top layer. So, and finish off with some heirloom tomatoes as well. So to start with, we have our potatoes here. I write the recipe just the way that I recommend making it for anyone getting started, but occasionally I might do things a little bit differently just to save us some time. So what we're going to do today is steam our potatoes in the Instant Pot. So step one says to cook your potatoes basically in a steam basket on the stove top, but we can do this in the Instant Pot. So that's this camera. Let me just take this out of the sight. Don't get distracted by that. Put that down there. All right. My potatoes here, we're doing Yukon Gold potatoes because they're the creamiest. And we're just going to chop these and then put them into our Instant Pot insert here. Okay, so these are going to be just large pieces, chunked pieces. And gotta pull up your sleeve, otherwise the knife can get caught in the sleeve. And like I said, you can do these potatoes on the stovetop in a steam basket, as the recipe says, or even sitting right in the water. You don't need a steam basket to make these potatoes nice and soft for you. You can just sit them in the water. I don't like boiling the potatoes the traditional way of where you have the water completely covering the potatoes, because you lose nutrients to the water, and that's a lot of extra nutrients that could be going into your body. And so if you cook with just the water, when you're cooking potatoes, if you fill the water to just below the top of the potatoes, so it doesn't fully cover them, but it's enough to cook them, and then make sure you stir occasionally. That's how I like to do potatoes. And that's how we're going to do them in the Instant Pot as well. I have a couple inches of water in this pot already, and I'm going to add all my potatoes. And by the water being in there, and we're putting this in the pressure cooker, that's going to be creating a whole bunch of steam. So even the potatoes that are not, just a tad here, the potatoes that are not in the water, sitting in the water, fully covered, they will still cook because of all the steam from the water, okay? And then you don't have a whole bunch of extra water that you need to toss to strain out. You might still need to get rid of some of the water, but it's up to you. All right. Let's see. One more, and these were 10 Yukon Gold potatoes. They were a little bit bigger, so they weren't all the medium size, but you can always have you have more to do with extra potatoes. You can't have too many mashed potatoes. So 10 big ones is good to go. We're going to put this, you can see it's about halfway full, this pot, and the water comes up to about an inch below the potatoes. So you don't need it fully covered. And all the potatoes will be steamed from that water. I'm going to put this in our pot. Actually, we can put our pot right over here so we see it. This is the Instant Pot, which is a brand of an electric pressure cooker. So it cooks things in a shorter period of time than just on the stove top. And I'm going to put these potatoes in for 6 minutes. Turn this to hit the manual setting or the pressure cooker button, and then turn it to 6 minutes. 5 minutes is actually usually good, but I might release the pressure sooner than I would if I weren't live with you. So I'm doing 6 minutes just in case. Let me take a look at all our comments here, see if I'm missing anything important. Like I said, if you guys are fasting at TrueNorth, let me know. I love hearing how it's going. And congratulations on taking care of yourself and doing that work to detox and reset and just find peace even. Sometimes it's less about the physical health as much, and it might be more about emotional health, mental health. The fasting is always great for that as well, especially the time we're in. Awesome. Good to see you guys fasting, hearing about it. So glad it's all going well for you. Our potatoes are going to be cooking while we do. Oh, the sound is gargling. Hopefully that's not for everyone. Colleen. Oh, Jesse says that too. You know what? This might. I'm switching to a different mic. So let me know if that's better. So sorry, I missed all those comments about the mic, but let me know if that's better, everyone. Okay, I think it sounds better. Awesome. On the stovetop here, I have a scan pan, a non-stick pan. Oh, there you go. So I'm going to turn my heat up here. I'm going to turn this to medium heat. We'll get that going. And I'm going to chop up an onion on my board here. So red onion, but any onion will work well. Whenever I cut the onion, I try to cut it off to the side, cutting off the top where the shoots come out, and then cutting it from top to bottom. And I cut it off on the side because of all the little, a little bit of the dirt and the skin gets on the board, and that way your board stays clean. And then peel back that outer layer of the onion. And then we have these 2 halves here. If you've seen me before, you know how I like to cut an onion, but for anyone new, I'm going to show you. I hold the onion with your knuckles down, knuckles tucked in, fingers tucked in, and cutting from, this is a different angle than I'm used to teaching you at, but cutting from one side to 95% of the way all the way to the root. Well, not all the way to the root, 95% of the way to the root. And we're cutting in slices all across the top of the onion, and fairly small, so we get diced pieces here. And you can take the knife cross-sectionally to get the most consistent size here. Take it across, and this step is optional. You don't have to do that step, but that will give you even more consistent size. And then you turn the onion and go the opposite way, again with your fingers tucked in, and you have beautifully diced onion here. Okay, and we'll do that with the other end. Other side, same thing. By keeping the knife from going all the way to the end, you're allowing yourself to, making it easier to move this onion, to turn it. And you're also preventing some of the compounds from coming out that make you cry. Okay? Like that. What's most important when you're cutting onion is that you have one way to do it, and you do that consistently. If you want to go to this route, it might take you a few times to get it, but then you do it all the time, and you can get your onion cut right away and into the board or into the pot, so that it's not sitting on your board and you're not kind of diddle-daddling with the onion. That is what's most important to prevent the crying, to get it cut and into your pot. All right, next up we have our carrot. I always add the onion first because, or mushrooms or celery, a vegetable that has a lot of water, because it will add moisture to the pot. Carrots don't have as much moisture, so I don't add them first, but I do try to add them early on because they are denser and they take longer to cook versus our zucchini. Our zucchini is going to be cooking much quicker than these carrots, so we want to get the carrots in next. You can see this motion I'm doing is a rocking motion. That's what we call the, well, I guess there's different names for it, but the rocking cut. You're going in a clockwise motion, okay? Clockwise, and you're keeping that tip on the ground, on the cutting board, I should say, okay? And that is going to give you a faster, easier cut. We'll put our carrot into our pan here. Next we have our garlic. So I'm going to do 4 cloves of garlic. And just break this off. 4 large cloves. And I teach doing this with a pastry cutter, smushing the garlic, but you can actually do this by hand. You have it's a good way to use your muscle either way. Breaking the skin with the base of your hand right here. And some people do this with a knife, the side of the blade, but I'll tell you, one time I did that and I slipped. The board was wet, the knife was wet, and I slipped and I cut myself here, right here. Can you see that? Big scar there. And I was home alone, so that was pretty dangerous to cut yourself right there. So I won't, well, I guess I have, but I try to never use the knife in that way again because it's so dangerous. Okay, we can just, now that we have these broken, peel back the skin. And then you can chop the garlic by hand, or what you could do is use a little twist. This is a garlic twist. It's really nice to just put the garlic in here. So you can also do ginger in here too, so it's very handy. And then you put the lid on. It's like a garlic press, except I find you save a little more of the garlic. With the garlic press, you get some extra garlic stuck in that press, and then you have to toss it or end up chopping it by hand because it's not fully minced. And with this, it does a little better job. Okay, so the garlic can go, you can use a spoon to get the garlic out, or a little a spatula here. And what I do to get any extra out is I add just a little bit. I take the spatula to do that, but then I put a little bit of water in here just to get the rest of this garlic here. And this water can go into right into our pot. So let's flip over. There, here we have our veggies cooking. Make sure we stir them. I'm going to turn up our heat too. We had it at medium, but The end of the onion got in there, so I'm just taking that out. All right, let's go back to our recipe. Yes, Elizabeth, letting the garlic sit is a good idea too. So I don't do that as often as I'd like to, but letting the garlic sit for 10 to 15 minutes will bring out more of the nutrients, makes them more bioavailable, and actually activates more phytonutrients. And so that's a great idea to cut the garlic ahead of time. You could cut it before you do the onion, and then add it after the carrots. Okay. So yes, the cube of the roller for the garlic is great too. Let's go back to our recipe here. We've got, don't show me that again. Our garlic in there. Now we're going to add a salt-free seasoning and some herbs. So this is Benson's Table Tasty. This is my favorite salt-free seasoning. It's so delicious, but if you don't use it that often, it can get a little hard, just like onion powder does. So I find sometimes I go through like spurts of using it all the time and then not using it so much. But it's really great. You can't get it in the stores. You have to order it online. So Amazon or their website, Benson's Table Tasty. It's fantastic. And we're going to do 1 tablespoon of this salt-free seasoning, and this helps to, let's see if this fits. See, my measuring spoons, these are progressive. The oval side fits in most jars, but not in this little, not in the Benson's jar. So I'm going to do a heaping teaspoon. 2 heaping teaspoons will give us 1 tablespoon. And then we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of rosemary and thyme. Ground up rosemary. But I like to, what I do is buy the rosemary twigs, and then I grind the twigs myself. And I don't fully process them until they're a fine powder, because I like a little bit more, I just like a little more consistent, a little larger pieces. So a more coarse consistency, you can see. And then you get even more aroma with that freshly ground rosemary. And then we have 2 teaspoons of thyme as well. That is so great to know, Barb, about Table Tasty being available at Costco. I didn't know that. And yes, this is just a special class, special time I'm doing for TrueNorth Health Center. 10 a.m. is my class time for everyone at TrueNorth, and they can join us virtually from their rooms, watching us online, watching me online, making up all this tasty stuff while they're likely fasting. But for everyone else that is used to me being at 5 o'clock, I am still at 5 o'clock on Thursdays. So we've got 2 shows going this week, and that's going to be the case for the rest of the month, and hopefully it continues these Wednesday 10 a.m. cooking videos throughout the rest of the year, but I can't guarantee that. So back to our recipe. The last spice I'm adding is a little bit of black pepper. We're going to add specifically, we're doing half a teaspoon of black pepper. Let me show you what we've got going here. Look at all this yummy veggies. I'm going to just ballpark the black pepper. And I'm going to turn down the heat now because it's getting dry. And it's time to add some moisture. We're going to start with, let's see, the beans and the liquid from the beans. So I'm adding cannellini beans here, and these are going to go straight into the pot with the liquid. Now, usually I strain out the liquid, but as long as you have organic beans, I think keeping the liquid for this recipe is helpful because it's thick and gelatinous. All of that, this is the cooking water. The beans were cooked in this water, and it releases carbohydrates and protein that makes that liquid gelatinous. And so that's going to be nice for the bottom of our shepherd's pie to have a little extra creaminess there. Okay. And we have the beans. We're going to add our corn and zucchini and bell pepper. So we have 1 cup of corn here. And I'm going to ballpark it. Put in fresh corn. If you have corn on the cob that's organic, I recommend that. I love fresh corn. But if you can't get organic corn on the cob, then it's best to go with the frozen corn. Okay? And our potatoes are not to pressure yet. So hopefully that seals up shortly. Give this. Okay. So I'm going to keep the lid on here. We're going to go back to our board and cut up our zucchini. So we've got our zucchini to add. And Shane asking if this video will be available later. It's available all day, so until 10 o'clock tonight. Our Thursday videos are available from 5 to 10 on Thursday nights. But because this video I do so much earlier, and I figured why not give you all day to watch it. And then after I take it down at 10 o'clock at night, it goes into our membership community where you can access all of the cooking videos. And we are going to be on a brand new platform for that community in just a few weeks. And anyone who's currently a member will be getting an invite sooner so that they can be a part of that community and helping us to build it up and add the features that we're looking for. So it's going to be super exciting. We're going to have a lot of customizations, ways for us to get to know each other better and engage with one another, learn about each other. And of course, if you prefer to be more private and not share as much, you'll be able to do that as well. You don't have to share as many details. You each can make a profile sharing about your plant-based journey and other details that will allow us and encourage us to connect more. And then we'll also be having, of course, all of our replays, these cooking videos, and all of our recipes will be there. There'll be options to create local events, local potlucks or dinner parties with people in your area, and you can see where everyone is and have a map of who's living near you. And if anyone is local here, you can bet that I'll be having potlucks myself, and they'll be posted in there. So it'll be a lot of fun, and hoping it's great for everyone. You guys enjoy it as much as I think I'm going to. So in addition to that, I want to let you know that I'm going to be doing coaching calls every single week for our members. So if you want to go deeper with me, if you enjoy these cooking videos, but you'd like to have more discussion, more of a chance to ask your questions and get them answered, and not have me distracted by all the cooking, which is definitely the case whenever I do these videos, then consider joining our membership, because it's going to be a lot of fun, and we can do talk about more specific topics to help us sustain this lifestyle, from batch cooking to dealing with cravings to, you know, the handling delicate situations with our family members if they're not eating this way. So many different things I want to talk about and things I want to support you on. And we'll be bringing on members from my team. A couple of our team members are really fantastic and so full of wisdom with this lifestyle, because they've been doing it for years too. So you'll be hearing from them, and you'll be hearing from others in our community. The last feature that is going to be coming with our community is, well, right now there's other features as well. Things like challenges, monthly challenges, which will be super fun. But also, what I was going to say is a monthly webinar with a guest expert, a guest who is going to take us outside of the kitchen and be talking about other things that are really important to this lifestyle. It may be nutrition related, it may be related to our sleep or our energy. I'm thinking I'd love to have I wear this amazing skincare line that is super clean and just almost edible. It's so clean and it's so fantastic. I love this skincare line, and I want to have someone from that company on to talk to us about the benefits of paying attention to what you're putting on your face. I learned about this line from a patient at TrueNorth who sells it, and I actually then met the founder of the company, who's also a patient at TrueNorth. So I guess that kind of speaks to the quality and the intentions behind the product, and how clean it is, them being in the TrueNorth community. I think that says a lot. So, and that brand, in case you're curious now, is called Pure Haven. Pure Haven. It's fantastic. So let's go back to our stovetop here. I'm adding in my bell pepper. And our potatoes have 4 minutes on the clock. So those will be done in a few minutes, and then we'll release the pressure. Doesn't this look good? That's what I say, this is a rainbow of veggies. All the colors in here, just beautiful. And I made this Italian seasoned with the rosemary and the thyme and black pepper, but you could add in other seasonings here if you didn't, you know, for whatever reason you weren't feeling the Italian herbs. You could do make it more of a curry, or you could do cumin and coriander. You could even add some spice, add some chili flakes or cayenne. If you add the chili flakes or cayenne to the herbs, to the thyme or rosemary, or maybe use oregano, the combination of the spice and the herb is actually will make it taste kind of southern, like the southern cuisine. So lots of options here. Okay, so we have I love seeing your guys' conversations in the chat. Any questions? What else? What other vegetables could you put in here? I was mentioning switching up the herbs and spices, but you could do other vegetables, and I have a couple coming to mind that I think would be amazing. So fantastic. Love to hear what you think you'd add to this. And I am gonna turn down the heat here on this, making sure it's at low heat. The pressure cooker. This is the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot is the brand, and it's the most popular pressure cooker out there on the market, especially within the plant-based community. This is the one we refer to most often, but there are other ones available. So pressure cookers in general, whether it's this one or another brand, they're amazing because they reduce the cooking time in half the cooking time to 2/3, depending on the ingredient. And they have this automaticity that allows you to step away from the kitchen. You could actually go for a walk. You could leave the home and your food would still be okay. Especially if it's something that is a little, has a stronger, I don't know how to say stronger integrity, but like grains and legumes, they take longer to cook and they can handle more cooking time. You don't want to walk away, you don't want to leave the home if you have kale or broccoli or, you know, something even, maybe even beets in the Instant Pot. Beets can go for a long time, but if you let them go too long, I find that they actually lose their flavor. So, but either way, it's really nice that you can walk away from it. And there's different sizes. This is a 6-quart Instant Pot. When the timer goes off, you see it's beeping like that, and then it has this L. I think the L stands for later or low heat, I'm not sure. But it basically, if you don't release the pressure right away, this will start counting up, okay? Start counting up in time. And what we want to do here is do a natural release. So the pressure cookers have a valve in the back here. You can't see it here, but this valve opens and closes. When you close it, it allows the pot to come to pressure, and when it's done cooking, the pressure needs to be released. If you open that valve, it's going to, that's a manual release, right? You did it manually, or it's called a quick release of the pressure. For grains and legumes specifically, I recommend going at least 10 minutes of this low or later, whatever it stands for, letting it run another 10 minutes just so to make sure that it's all really cooked and soft and tender. And then doing the manual release, turning that valve. With the potatoes, I think they're fine. They're probably fine to open up right now. I'm just kind of delaying a little bit because I do want to make sure that they're fully soft, because with potatoes that are steamed, you can enjoy them at such a wide range of consistencies, to when they're a little bit firm still to when they're super soft. But since we're making mashed potatoes here, we're going to be mashing this into, we're mashing it into a mash. Then I want the potatoes to actually be on their softer side so that it makes it easier for me to mash them all. Okay. Okay, so sweet potatoes would go great here, especially if you do sweet potatoes in this recipe, I would add a spice to the bottom. So it was more like that Southern cuisine, because the sweet potatoes are so sweet. You don't need, but it'd be great to have something to offset the sweetness, and a little bit of spice would do that really well. Edamame, corn, bell pepper, all great options. I was thinking mushrooms and eggplant would be really great. More umami. You guys know I love my umami too. Who'd be interested in taking an umami class? If I do a 3 or 4 week umami masterclass, would anyone be interested in taking that and learning more about umami, which is one of our 5 tastes: the sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami is that 5th one. And most people don't know about it because it's kind of fairly new to our human language and intellect. We didn't know what it, although we've been enjoying it for centuries, we didn't have a name for it until this last century. And there's also some health implications, positive and negative implications around how we're using umami in our lifestyle, in our diet, in our food system. So I have an awesome masterclass started that I'm thinking I should run again this month, and I'd love to hear if you guys are interested in that. That would be a lot of fun, and we do 1 class a week and get it all out there. So yeah, I'm thinking that would be great. All right, I'm going to open up our potatoes here. See, now we're releasing that pressure. You got to be very careful when you open it because it is so hot. Although that steam, people always say you could kind of get a facial with it, but you got to be careful even there because you could get too close and burn yourself. All right, we have a bowl. We made a bowl to mash our potatoes in, or you can do it. Another benefit of the Instant Pot is to mash it right in the Instant Pot. I'm going to pull out my masher here. This is big, handy potato masher. It's double enforced. We've got the potato masher on the bottom and then a ricer on top. So if you if you're wanting to get something like this, if you eat mashed potatoes a lot, I highly recommend it. This is the best potato masher. Literally, if you go on Amazon and look up best potato masher or top potato masher, something like that, this should come up. I don't know the brand. There might be a couple brands, but really great. Helps you to get mash the mashing faster, but also make it fluffier. That ricer helps to make them fluffy. Oh, that's a great idea, Coach Cara. If you are worried about burning your hand, because even when you move your hand out of the way, I still feel a little burning on my fingers sometimes. So just using a towel to do that is great. And another thing you want to be careful of is when you're opening the pot to turn it. It's best if you do this, turn it towards you, right? So all the steam goes that way. But in my classes, the way I'm set up to record and everything, I always find it nicer to have that pot on the other lid on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to grab a fork here. And we'll poke these potatoes. You see poking the one at the very top. I just actually pulled it out, but I don't know if you can see how it's actually already so tender. And this was sitting on the top. It was not in the liquid at all. Okay, so you know that works really well without having to have the potatoes fully covered. I'm going to move this big pot to the cutting board. So it's a little lower, easier to work with. This is all right, now your options are to mash the potatoes in all of the water you have here. Excuse me. But once you start mashing, you won't be able to strain out any water very easily. You'll be losing some of the potato. So I recommend still straining out some of that water, and then you can add in some non-dairy milk. If you'd like to, you can add in some non-dairy milk to add some more creaminess and moisture. Or to be on the safe side, you could strain out the water, some of it, and then add in more of the water, the same water back in if you want more of that, more moisture because. So I'm going to strain out some of the water. That should be good. And then we're going to mash this up. Potato masher here. Oh, the potatoes are so high in here that you can actually see this from the top, a little bit of it. Now, what do you put in your mashed potatoes to make them tasty if we're not using butter and salt? Shane, I don't have an Amazon store of the things I liked, and but I'm working on. I want to work on that. In my course, I have a cooking course called PC 101. Well, that's short for Plant-Based Cooking 101. And in that course, the first module, I have a list of my favorite tools, the essentials that I use. It also has a lot of other great resources like cooking charts for cooking your grains and legumes and a meal planner and grocery list and a ton of things. So if you guys are just getting started and you want to go deeper with me in a structured order, because we go deeper in our membership community, but there's not as much structure for helping someone who's just getting started. If you're just getting started, I highly recommend Plant-Based Cooking 101. It's an investment that you will have for the rest of your life. You can join us at any future point when I do future rounds of Plant-Based Cooking 101 as a group going through it, which we'll be doing this fall. You can join us then, but if you want to get started now, check that course out on my website, Plant-Based Cooking 101. And if you are interested in joining today, I'll give you a discount. I'll give you $100 off. So it's instead of $297, it's $197. If you want to join today, email me, support@theculinarygym.com, and I'd be more than happy to honor that and get you access to that right away. It's 6 weeks long, really fantastic course with over 40 videos of me walking you through everything, and lots of printable cheat sheets for the kitchen and practice recipes, plus our core meals, which are just fantastic. That whole concept, the core meals are really, really helpful. So, all right, that was black pepper I added. What else? We have a little bit of the salt-free seasoning I'm going to add here as well. And one of my favorite things to add to mashed potatoes is nutritional yeast. It's so delicious. It adds a little bit of cheesiness, that umami. But some people are really sensitive to nutritional yeast, and myself included. So I'm not adding any nutritional yeast. But there is actually a little bit of nutritional yeast in that Benson's Table Tasty too. So I am getting a little bit. Now, I didn't add any of the milk yet. It's a pretty good consistency, but we can make it just a little bit creamier with some of this non-dairy milk. This is soy milk. One that I go to, I usually don't buy non-dairy milks, and I just make my own nut milk with almonds or cashews, whatever nut I'm in the mood for, depending on what I'm making. But with certain things where you don't want a nuttiness, I go for soy milk, and rather than trying to make my own soy milk, which is a process, I buy this one because there's only 2 ingredients: soybeans and water. That's what you want in a non-dairy milk. That's ideal to have only the one featured ingredient and water, and making sure it's organic and unsweetened, so there's no sweetener in there is great. Okay. That soy milk helps to make your potatoes a little more umami-like too. Soybeans are great for umami, and that's what you want. You don't want the nuttiness from like an almond milk or cashew milk. All right, so we're about done. We are just going to assemble this. Oh, I just want to eat the mashed potatoes by themselves. They're so good. Yes, Shane, if you do the PC 101 cooking course, you get access to it for life. So it would be $197 if you email me today for that discount, and you get lifetime access, can go through it again and again whenever you like. There's also a 30-day refund if anyone wants to try it out and isn't certain it's for them. All right, we have a little casserole pan here. You can use a larger one, 9 by 13 inch pan, but I like this one. And we're going to add in our veggies on the bottom. So we use rainbow of veggies right to the bottom of the pan. And the recipe is written for a larger pan. So don't think you wouldn't get enough if you use a larger pan. See, I have all this extra. I'm not going to put it in. I'm going to save that for later. And then we have our potatoes. So here's, scoop out these potatoes. I personally don't use oat milk. If anyone else from the community wants to talk about oat milk, please do. I've heard so many great things about it. People love the creaminess of oat milk, and it doesn't have the high fat content that nut milks have, but there is a little bit more fat than like a rice milk, which is one of the reasons it's creamier. But the fat is so small. It's just a great option. Oat milk. I'm personally allergic to oats. There's something in oats called a protein called avenin, and I'm allergic, which is why you don't see me using oats very much. I used to use them all the time. I used to make my oat bars, banana blueberry bars with oats, and they're fantastic. If you guys are looking for a treat this weekend, you're wanting, or it could even be breakfast. They're healthy enough to have for breakfast. The banana blueberry bars on my website. If you go to theculinarygym.com, there's a search icon in the top, in the navigation bar. You can do a search for any recipe you're looking for, and that's the best way to find those banana blueberry bars if you're interested. That's what I think about every time I think about my oats that I'm not having. Yes. You can make individual ones, or you can mix and match things too. You know, if you had this whole dish, say you were living alone and you ate this whole dish by itself, and you're like, okay, I don't want to have the same exact thing again. You could put those veggies with something else. You could serve it with rice. You could add some other veggies like that. This actually is not as many green veggies as I'd like to have. So I could mix those other veggies I have with some broccoli and kale and some rice. It would be great. We've got one more ingredient to add here. If anyone is looking at the recipe, you can see that there's one more thing. Well, I'm not going to add the nutritional yeast I already mentioned, but we're going to add the tomatoes. So it's another thing that makes this a summertime shepherd's pie, fresh tomatoes. And then this can go into the oven right away, and you can then serve it. Or you can leave it out and put it in the oven later, right before you're going to eat it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put it in the oven right now. I'm going to put it in the oven this evening so I can have this for dinner. And if you wanted to, you could even just eat this as is without putting it in the oven. But I do recommend the oven because it will help to solidify everything. That's the main reason we put it in the oven. It helps to kind of dry out the bottom and bring the top and the bottom together. So just rinse this. I have the big heirloom tomato here. We're going to just slice this today. Yes, I agree with Elizabeth. Soy is not bad for the human population. As long as you get organic, we don't want any GMO soybeans. But some people have allergies to soy, just like we can have allergies to other things, which is, I'd like to do a whole coaching call just about that, talking about food sensitivities and allergies. And some people can actually have allergies to soy. So that is something to be aware of. If you have any symptoms from a food that people are telling you are healthy in the plant-based world, it likely is healthy. All plants are great for us, full of nutrition, unless you have a specific issue with them. That might be to you, to you only. So, all right, these big tomatoes we're going to put onto our pie here. Now, because they are so big, just see if how these fit in here. Maybe. So it's a little broken. Why don't we just do that? So, if you want to use the nutritional yeast, I'd put it on here right now, or just before you put it in the oven, and then you bake it for, let's see, the exact time I have here for anyone that is just curious, not looking at the recipe. It goes in for 375 for 15 minutes. Okay. So how's that look? Nice casserole. You'll have to try this out yourself to slice into it and take a bite. Yeah. I also have, if for whatever reason you're like not into the summer shepherd's pie and you're looking for a little more traditional shepherd's pie, I have another shepherd's pie recipe with lentils on the bottom, with mushrooms and carrots, onions, celery, and it's a totally different flavor on the bottom, but it's also delicious. And I make it all the time at the McDougall program. So you guys would love either one of these. I hope you try it out. Hope you enjoy them. And again, if you are looking for any other recipes, go to theculinarygym.com and click that icon, search icon, and you can search the site for other recipes. That's it for now. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 5 o'clock, every Thursday at 5 o'clock here on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe so you get notifications. And tomorrow we have 2 guests. We have a mother-daughter couple, and they're going to be making us an endive Waldorf salad in endive boats. And we're also getting a summer fruit tart. And it's going to be high raw, if not all raw. So I'm excited about bringing in more of the life force from our fruits and vegetables. Cooked vegetables are great, cooked plants are great, but we're going to get even more nutrition with them raw. So having a mixture is what I find to be ideal for myself, and I think really great for other people as well. So I hope you guys join us at 5 tomorrow. Until then, have a delicious day, and I'll see you then. Bye, everyone.